Hi and welcome to my channel. This is Ben Salsi and I'm an Android and iOS developer at Codally, and today I'll be taking you through how you can develop Google Maps functionality to your Flutter app. A couple of guys have been asking out how you can make a better maps for Flutter, and having had an experience of previously in native and now doing it in cross-platform, which is Flutter, then I'll be taking through all the concepts. I know there are so many concepts out there that people might talk about, but today I'll be taking you through the core concept that will enable you to like create a very nice app. So you'll be using the Google Maps plugin, the official Google Maps plugin for Flutter, to enable you to develop quality apps that will be production ready. So all through, I welcome you again to this channel, hoping that at the end of it all you'll be at least a better developer in terms of creating maps for Flutter. So through this course, this is the first series of a bunch of 10 more that will be able to create Flutter apps, where you guys will be able to understand how is it to lay out a map, create a tile, be able to add markers on a map, calculate distance between markers in an app, add several destinations, add stop points and stuff like those. So in this first tutorial, we will just have a simple basic setup that will enable you and make you guys be excited about what we're going to do. So I will show you on briefly on what exactly we'll be doing at the end of the course, and so you'll be able to create yourself a nice app that will, by default, when you open it, shows up your current location and add that marker onto a map, and then the user will be able to add several destinations just as you would in an Uber app or a Bolt app. So users will be able to add pickup locations. So the moment you add a pickup location, then the app should be able to add a marker onto a map, calculate the distance between the two markers, and as the many markers you add, the distance is also recalculated, and polylines are also drawn onto the map, so that you have like this kind of a real-time thing that enables you to have the similar functionality that Uber and Bolt and any other cabs would have. This is to help you guys, most of you having questions on how you can better do this. Just to mention, we will be doing this using the BloC architecture, where you'll be able to populate the markers, populating the directions and the distance using the BloC architecture. So if you're relatively new to this, don't worry, we'll try as much as possible to enable each and every one of you to grasp the concepts. I've created a bunch of source codes which I'll be sharing down below the video, where you guys can visit and go through them. For this first tutorial, if you are totally new to Flutter, you can directly head to flutter.dev, where you can get more resources, a bunch of other resources devs give out there in terms of SDK, installing Flutter to your machine and stuff. For Google Maps, we'll be using the official Google Maps Flutter plugin, and then for locations and distance, calculating the distance, you'll be using the geolocator plugin that will enable us to do that. You can also connect with me in LinkedIn. You can also download my official portfolio app on Play Store, so that we can connect. You will get there a bunch of other projects that I've done, so we can connect. Without wasting too much time, I think I'll take you through the project that we'll be doing. It's a simple app that will have a simple design, so you guys can already know how to bundle this and put them together into modules, and already have a UI ready and set up for your project. Okay, let's get into the things. So this is what we'll be doing. Just a simple app, for example, like so, where you have the app picks your default location, as you can see, adds a marker, currently the place called Deru, Kenya. So you can see the total distance right now is 0 kilometers, and probably if you guys to get to advanced levels, you can also perform costings, just like cabs app usually do. So with this app, you can also add a pickup location. For example, I would say okay, pick me at Afya Center, Nairobi, Afya Center, Nairobi, like so. So it will give me that. It tells me pick this point, and then I'll pick some. You can see the app drew the markers and the destinations. That's Afia Center, this is Odeiru. You can zoom and move around, and the most important bit is it was able to calculate the distances in between there. Sorry for that, I'll have to do that again. So you say Afia Center, like so. So it will calculate distance, draw the path in between those, so if you're driving you'll be able to see this at real time. So this is 19 kilometers. We can also add several other places. Sorry, Fear Center. Like so. You can also add another pickup location. So say Mombasa, Nairobi as well. Mombasa, Kenya. Pick up that place. It will recalculate the distances in between there and the estimated cost as well. And you can see it drew the markers all the way from the starting point to the destination, as you can see over there. So that is Mombasa, and then we have the Afia Center and the rest of the points. So the more you add them, the pickup locations, the more the map will automatically calculate those, and then it will render that onto the map. So this is basically what you'll be doing in the different modules. Also, you'll be learning different concepts, including how you get the polylines, how you add the markers at runtime, so that at any point distance changes. If, for example, we decided to kick off Mombasa from the equation, so the app will recalculate those points and then draw the polylines. Now we just have 2. So you also learn how to go about those, so that if at all I'm going to also kick off that, now you can see the distance is back to 0 and estimated cost is 0, and now we just have 1 marker. So you learn how to use the BloC architecture to manage all those stats, so that in case there's any changes in terms of the distance and everything else, then you'll be able to get those correctly. So let's get into the sweetest things. So the first thing is we're gonna do is open up your terminal. This is by the assumption that you already have Flutter installed on your machine, and Android and Xcode and every other requirement. So we just do Flutter create. So I usually like to move into a folder that I personally prefer to get into, so you can also do the same. So I have the folder called maps, and I'll directly be opening my terminal and drag my maps folder into there, like so. So I'm into maps, so I can directly do Flutter create over there, create, and say Flutter. So just say maps tutorial. So you say all about, just let's say maps, Flutter, maps for Flutter. That would be better. Tutorial. Let's say maps for Flutter. I know devs also struggle with that, so I'm not an exception to get a better name for a project. So now we have that created, so we can directly go to our VS Code and we can directly open up that. So open, and we can locate our maps folder. Can definitely locate that in your own project. So the tutorials and maps, and we have that. So this is our first project. So in this first module, we're not going to do much, but instead we're just going to add in the required dependencies and do some cleanup in the project so that it's ready for module 2. So the first thing that you do is I'm not going to do all the cleanup for the dummy comments, because comments are also important as well. So for this first project, I think we're gonna just add the maps dependencies. So you say maps dependencies. So so the dependencies going to use for this project is Flutter for Google Maps and geolocator. So I'm gonna say Flutter, so Google Maps Flutter. So with this, we're going to have that package. We just install that, installing, like so. You can copy that and we get into there. Make sure you're copying the right thing. And then you have the Flutter geolocator. So say Flutter geolocator. So we have that. So this will aid us in generating the distances and getting the accurate places for where the user is currently located, like so. And then also geolocator comes in with a bunch of other functionalities, like enabling us to check whether the location permissions were enabled or not. So it will be a bit easier to get into it and to understand how or whether the user did turn on the location or not, and if not, we can directly request for the permissions accordingly. Now that we have those added and we do not have any errors, now we are so ready to start on our project. Of course, we do not need all this bunch of other files like for the macOS and Linux, because we're not going to develop for that. We'll be concentrating most on just the iOS and Android. Now that we have that set up, I think we can close up on this first part, because I know you guys can already know what's going to happen. We run our basic app, which will just show the counter app. In our next tutorial, we'll be doing the simple design that we have there for our mobile app, which is this. So we'll be designing a nice header map over there with different controls: the zoom in, zoom out, the close button, select location, and the distance placeholders. We'll also be adding destination item that a person can close or add and stuff like those. So those they will be dummy, but in the next tutorial we'll be doing now a fully fledged UI, upon which now we'll be understanding how to perform also tests on those UI objects. And then eventually, after our map is set up, then we can dive deeper into understanding how to set up the functionality within our project. With that said, I would say thank you so much for joining in, and just to mention that my name is Ben Salsi, and I'll be talking to you all about maps in Flutter, and I can't wait to see you guys become even much better pros in developing Uber-like apps in Flutter. See you next time.